Hey, we are live. It looked like that didn't want to go live. Still here in the rainy room. This is a follow up of the talk I had about immigration and all survival in Japan with pension. So I want to talk about SpaceX. If I look at the stock, let me look SpaceX. How's it doing? It is in the night is down. Pre-market will be in a few minutes up. It went to 138, so it came back. You see if the cup. Let me share that. Let me share that. Let me share. Let me share. Windows here. Share. Okay. See here the. Oh, this is shared. So you can see here the cup. What I said, it goes down cup. It will go higher around here. What is 170 here around, and then we see maybe a pull down, or we see a travel up. And I think that it will be depending on the earnings calls. If the earnings call is nice, uh, and people have trust in it. I think SpaceX can take a lift off over the 200 and stay there. And I think then it will climb up, climb up, climb up, and all the things will fall in place. If everything Starship will do at the end of the year, reusable 100%. First, Starlinks will go up, they will work fine, and then maybe do some experiments with databases in space. Then we have the refueling test, the Orion test, whatever test they do and all successfully. Then next year will be the cadence will be increased. I think first once a week, then once a month, maybe not once a day, but once a week, and then I will see maybe a mission to change the type of things, maybe human grade. Maybe they are going to the moon with some robots and land there, and that will be a very interesting year. We will see AI getting built out on the terrestrial, on the ground by SpaceX. What will happen with Tesla, I will not speak about, or I will assume that it's already integrated, because let's not do what the added things is for what is it the robots. We will not talk about Tesla self-driving. Not we just focus on rockets. AI we should also not focus on just on the rockets. What can we expect from the rocket plan? Uh, will uh, will it all work out? And if I look at Neutron is from what is it from Rocket Lab. That one is I think the number two, a reusable rocket fully. That is like its first stage with an encapsulation for the second stage. That it go out, like they call it the hungry hippo. So they open the nose cone and the second stage goes out and the whole thing comes back again. Made from fiber. Peter Beck is the CEO. I think they have a chance, but they are delayed. They say they want to try it in the fourth quarter of this year, but will probably slip to the first or second quarter, because if they want to do it, they want to do a cadence of, they want to make 10, so they want to have a reusability and a cadence of launching fast, because they have orders binnen. I can understand that, but people expect more. Steph Bezos pet will be done end of the year, maybe in the first quarter of next year. Then we expect, of course, launches, and I think that will not go so as fast. We have the Chinese with the stage thing that's in the sea with the nets to capture the first stage. Then we have some other Chinese and Japanese, whatever projects. Those are all experimental prototypes. I don't expect much of it in 2027. Maybe two launches from China, three other launches reusable, maybe a few. Neutron, I think that is the best chance to become number two as reusable. So I expect the end of 2027 that they can launch every month. I think that is where we have to look, even if they say we want to do more. But yeah, if you're only building 10 or for 10 launches, that is exactly what you can use for 1 year and then reuse a little bit. So I think that is why you have to look there for the production. So now we look at SpaceX. What is SpaceX doing? They are saying they are building for launch. The CFO said they are preparing for 1,000 launches a year. That means three a day. We have to see if that is really done, but it is the capability. So it means the infrastructure is there, the production, the everything is there, that it is possible to do this. So could be true. Even if it's half, then you still are at 300 every day one. So if you only look at the, you want to launch every day next year, the next 2 years, that is the max that you think can have, then you need only 400, the capability of 400 launches. And I think if you're planning for 1,000, you're already building it out, and they think they can, you are good. So production-wise, spaceships, the money, everything, I think is okay. What can hold back is unexpected events, uh, fast reassembling before an orbit or in orbit, so explosions, things that can go wrong. Two spaceships want to tank and they explode, whatever. Things that go wrong, design of a rocket engine or a tank that is not as good as you want, and it fails. So there's a lot of thing of shaking of the fluids in the tank. I had an idea. Maybe it sounds totally crazy, and maybe some rocket engineer sees this. You have these. If you go to the sushi bar, you have these bottles of sushi sauce, the black, what is it? Shoyu. That is the shoyu sauce. And if you look at the bottle and you pull off the etiquette, you see the bottle has a plastic bag in it. Yeah. So the liquid is in a bag, and there is a bottle around it, and the bag pulls vacuum. So if you press the bottle, you pushed with the air in the bottle into this against this vacuum, so you can get all of your stuff out of the shoyu sauce out of the bottle, and it doesn't mix with air. So the air that is that would normally be in a bottle, if it is half full, your half is with air and half is with soy sauce. But this is not good for the soy sauce. The soy sauce, you always want to have the full bottle, or you want to no air. So what this company bought off for these soya sauces is they you put it in a plastic Fukarov, a plastic bag, and it is always, and it shrimps, so it is always without air. Now this idea, I don't know if you can make a tank inside of a tank, and with the cold, a plastic a bag or something from material, and if the fuel is used, the bag shrinks and automatically vacuumizes it, and if it is slushing or what moving, the fuel is in the bag, or the stuff is in the bag, and that pushes by itself into where it has to go. So there is no mingling with empty space or with air. I think the problem with those space with the space tanks is that you if you get less and less gas or stuff in, or gasoline in your tank, that you get this space in between it, if it is vacuum or whatever. So you see droplets flying around in an empty tank. Yeah, that will not work. Maybe you can put on the bottom of the tank or the top of the tank something that you can lower, so you press everything slowly to the where it goes out. So there is something that pushes, that make the inside volume smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller the more is used. Maybe you make it ceiling, if you have a tank like this, and here the underside it goes out and the upside it's full. You have something on the top, and it slides down when it is used. So at the end there's only a little bit of space. Yeah. So even if it is weightless, the space is small, and you push the with that. Maybe you do some gas in it, and you pressurize it, you push the liquid or whatever it is out of the tank that way. Maybe there's a solution. Maybe that solve a lot of problem in weightlessness. That if you want to retank, so that you always know there is always the maximum amount of, you can empty the tank for the last drop. I think this is an idea that maybe they can use, and maybe it is probably adding some more weight or whatever. But if you have a good solution, maybe you use some plastic or some material, and cloth that you can use in the tank, that you can lower with the pressurized upside, and you push it down. Something rocket engineers go crazy with this idea. This is probably a solution for your clothing, the shaking of the fluids in tanks, that you can reduce it, because you make the tank smaller. So the more you use, you reduce the size of your total tank, and that I think will avoid any problems. And the other way around, if you you tank it, you can make the tank bigger again, because you can pull what is above the gas that you fill the tank with, which you don't use. You pull out that, and then the Fukro or whatever is inside the bag that's inside of the tank expands, and you can fill it totally. I think this will be maybe a good idea for each space weightlessness to avoid all those problems that how do you get all the fuel to the rocket engine? So you pull it in with you make your tank smaller by using an cloth that shrinks inside of your tank. I think there will be a lot of like this kind of problems. Maybe the fins or the way it lands. Maybe the chops sticks will have some problems, but I think maybe not. Or if they want to land it on the moon, that there's too much dust. So they place the landing engines on the top. Maybe there goes something wrong and it breaks. The strength is because they are used to push down and not to stretch the metal of the. So they have to look if they can pull it up from there. Probably it can, because if you can catch it from the upside, probably you can pull it up from the upside. So, but you never know. Maybe there are some problems with landing. The dust will be 100% a problem. So what they have to do, what my suggestion is, just crash land some of your starships on the moon. If you can land them, nice. But maybe landing is even not so good. You don't want to make a lot of dust. So find a way that you can place a starship with crashing or whatever softly on the moon. If it falls over or if it breaks or whatever is not important. The cargo will be robots, sorry, we have to talk about robots. And around it, you have a kind of Starlink satellite system for internet of the connection to those robots. And if this thing is landed on the moon, you can control those robots. They can use the wreckage of the spaceship to build a path, or you have maybe some heavy machines that is protected that they can make from the moon dust like a concrete floor. The first goal, I think, is before you make a solar panel or whatever, make a floor, a concrete floor where you can land a spaceship with legs. Maybe the legs you take up in space and you have the legs in orbit. Then you dock the legs with a starship, go to the moon, and there you land it. If it goes back from the moon up to Earth, you put the legs, maybe you leave them there, or you take the legs with you and then put them again in orbit and land the rocket without legs, and you capture the thing. So the legs you can maybe put it in space just for the places to land on the moon. Until there, you also have built a tower, and you can catch them in the same way if you do on Earth. Same for Mars. So maybe put some legs in space, connect the legs with the spaceship, and you can use legs on places where you need legs to land. It's maybe an idea. I still think, why don't use a dragon? If your first mission is only with a few people, like 5, 6, 7 people, use a dragon, put it in a starship inside of it. So if something goes wrong, you always have a dragon as an escape capsule. And if you want to land maybe on the moon for the first time, maybe land with a dragon so you don't have so much dust, and maybe land the starship somewhere else where you can make dust. Something like that. You make a place for small ships to land. If you really want to go with the hundreds of people to land, then you have to have at least a tower or something to catch it. I think if you have a high tower, and the moon you can build a high tower because gravity is low, so you can maybe use at the top some thrusters that you can slow down on the tower, and they probably will not blow away so much moon dust. So maybe that is possible. And maybe for the first times you don't need hundreds of people at once. If you can make a starship launch every day or every week, say every day, then you can go 10 times to the to the moon, and with 10 people, then you're also 100 people. Then you go in once with more risk. So I think this is. I think you don't make it in this. That will be a nice thing in Starship. Make some doors, and where you can dock or you can put inside of it a dragon or a space capsule as and put it under the. So you have the rocket the rocket, and you can put probably the in the top living quarters. Yeah, and then under it you make the escape pod, that is the dragon. You launch the whole thing. You're not maybe you just launch the whole thing complete in space, uh, or yeah, people will say, yeah, if you have a dragon, you need to have at least the Falcon 9 still. So also, is it smart to keep the Falcon 9? I understand the economics, that it is wasted and that it is better go full into Starship. So then you will say, why would you need a Dragon capsule? Hmm. I think the Dragon capsule is still interesting if you look at the size. If you look at the space station and you want to dock with a Starship, it is almost comedical big. Better to have a smaller ship still, that you can maybe you can put it, or the diameter is the same as a Starship. You can you put it inside of a Starship, multiple of them, and use those things to land with a smaller crew on specific places, maybe on moons of Mars or on our moon itself in the beginning. And you don't have to land this big thing, this big Starship. It can be that it doesn't matter at all. That if you have a big thing or a small thing, it doesn't matter if what you land on the moon, because yeah, gravity is so low, or in space it doesn't matter. There's also a thing about construction failure, a micro meteorites. If you have a big spaceship and there are micro meteorites, it is a bigger chance you can hit. So I think also that is something to calculate. If you have a big thing in low orbit, the chances that it gets hit is much bigger. You can see it at the ISS. Is Tokidoki sometimes hit by some small thing in space? Yeah, this can also happen to a Starship, yeah, and can blow off tiles. And if you re-enter, you don't know it, can blow up your Starship. So that's maybe also why you need, if you have a Starship, you need also maybe a drone to check once in a while around your Starship if everything is okay. You can automate that with AI, and you can maybe use 2 or 3 drones that continuously check your Starship from the outside with some thrusters. That could be an idea. So there is a lot of things to do. If you look at my thing, I go from everywhere for everywhere, but Starship is the first. So I think the Starship will launch in the first. It will be ready in 2027 in January. I think we can expect that we have a cadence that is more than once a month. I think we will have a cadence once a month till the end of 2026. So I think in 2027 they can upscale the cadence. I hope in once a week. That will speed up everything, because if you want to have a human grade, you need at least like an amount of flights. So if you can launch instead of once a month, once a week, that makes 4 times. So the certification will be easier. If you, crazy if you can go every day, but I think you don't have enough launching places, and still you want to check all the tiles. Now, I think the first thing they have to do, they did it already with this with the Starlink satellites. You need something. If you're in space and you want to land, check check the whole thing from the outside. So make a small drone, a ball or something with cameras, with AI. Look, put it out of a ledge. Let it rotate around your ship and check all the tiles and all the engines from the behind. If there's any damage, if there is no damage, you can assume that it is okay, and the drone goes inside and you land the ship. If you see failure or damage that is not good, and there's nobody aboard, keep the thing in space. Why? Because maybe you can use it as an building material for space station or a tanking station or whatever. Maybe you can put it in orbit near the moon, and you can use it as a moon lander, so you don't have to go through this atmosphere on Earth. So you don't have to waste it. And I think if you have material like metal and things you can build in space, uh, it can be usable. You can cut it up. You can imagine go far away, farther away now than we are now, and start to disassemble the ship in far outer space, and then. Or yeah, I think if you do that in close orbit and you start to disassemble a spaceship to build a space station, I think some stuff will fly off, and by the next circulation on Earth, it will hit you in the face and destroy your project. So, and if something goes wrong and goes boom, you have an enormous amount of debris. So I think if you want to build a space yard or a spaceship thing, you have to have an elliptic. I think you have to make an elliptic orbit around the Earth, and you start heavy construction if you're far away of the Earth. If something explodes or goes wrong, it goes away from the Earth into space. Yeah, I think something like that. And if the whole thing is built and it's okay, you change this elliptic course with some thrusters and into a normal orbit. So that will be probably the things with construction in space. You want not to construct things in low orbit. You don't even want to construct things in a stationary orbit. Because if you construct something and something goes wrong or something, whatever, hit you, there is something there and it hits you while you're construction, and it blows up one thing and that thing blows some other thing, it will be a disaster. You will have a mass of particles floating that are like bullets that will hit anything in the next orbit if you pass it. So this is not done. And I think if you build a space station, it will be so high, it will not fall down in the next 2 days or in the next months, what you see now with Starship in a super low orbit. So construction, I think you have to do around the moon, where you have space, but also you don't do it in you do it in an elliptical terrain, in an elliptical course. So if it explodes and you do your most dangerous stuff at the most farthest point, if it explodes and it goes to Earth or goes wrong, you can still intercept it with another spaceship or whatever. So I think space yards construction will be done in deep space. Oh yeah, you can build, for example, for the things for Mars, where you want to have 1,000 spaceships. Now, if 1,000 spaceships, they can collide. One collides another one, and you get this domino effects of collisions. You don't want to happen that near the moon orbit or between an Earth orbit. You want to do that in a dead far away, not relatively far away. So if something goes wrong, the chance that some of debris hits the Earth is minimalized. So that is, I think, what has to happen. So there needs to be tweaking. I think there's a lot of tweaking still done for Starship. Is Starship the end product? Will it just be bigger and it will be it? I don't think. I think Starship is the first, let me say, steam engine for space. It is a cool design. It is an explosive bomb. Rockets are like bombs that go off and it pushes a weight into space. Very dangerous. I think if you are in space and you can construct a spaceship in space, I think then you are there. Then you can make something like the Aluminium Falcon, Starship Enterprise. You can really build something in zero gravity space. Uh, you can take your time. If you have the moon operational, you can use a lot of heavy materials, for example, the hull and protective space for whatever, for anti-cosmic rays. You can get the stuff all from the moon, put it to the coast, bring that to the space yard, build the spaceship there. It can You build it much bigger than the Starship that is now. We think this is big. I think if you want to travel to Mars, you want to have a cruise ship. You want to have a cruise ship with your food production. If it takes a year or it takes 2 years to go there, the ship and the people can survive. You don't, if it is like a half year travel, you don't want to have enough food for a year. I think you want to have enough food for 2 years. If it goes wrong, and you have to have energy that is like not your tank is empty. It is hit by a meteorite, your fuel tank, and now you have no fuel. That is terrible. So you need some nuclear propulsion that always works. This is not depending on fuel or something. You can use the fuel for boosting in a direction, but your main engines, and even you cannot accelerate so fast that you cannot slow down with your fusion of what is your nuclear propulsion. Because if something goes wrong and you get a boost to a place, to the sun or whatever, and you want to correct it or you want to change course, your engines that doesn't have fuel have to correct that. So maybe in the future, if you have reviews, you have more like hey, there you are. More like like ion drives or drives that are working with a nuclear plant or fusion plant. Then you push out stuff, and that makes your ship accelerate. So not the chemical fuel with air and whatever to make an explosion and push that right. I think we need maybe an acceleration of something, pushed out of the ship, and then the ship uh, it goes forward. Uh, because you can imagine that if you run out of fuel, your whole mission is over and you're dead. So you want to have something that always works. And if you can have cryo chambers, you can just freeze it, and it takes maybe 20 years to come back. So life support will be, and then you can always come back, like what you see in Aliens. Yeah, they were not depending on the amount of food they had. They were not depending on the amount of fuel they had. If it takes 100 years extra, so it be. Still, the crew will survive. And this we have to make in a smaller setting for the solar cell system. So if you want to travel inside of the solar system, we have to have spaceships, and we have to, of course, rescue teams to help with spaceships. But spaceships themselves have to be able to survive in deep space for years. If something goes wrong, we can take a year to get it, pull it back, wait for new technology to develop, and then put it back, because we have AI that can develop very fast, finds a way to save it within at least 2 years or something, and then the crew and the people are still alive. That will be after we colonized Mars and the moon. The next step, we have to have spaceships that can survive years and years in space, and also the crew can survive that. Or maybe we make a small town. Every, like Robotech, maybe Elon Musk also is a fan. The spaceship was not a spaceship; it was also a town. Inside of people lived like in a town. So the spaceship was so big that it was also a small town inside of it. Huh? So, and I think this is the concept you have to see in big. If you want to travel inside of the solar system and beyond, you have to have like your family. Everything has to be in your spaceship. Why? For example, if even AI will make something you can travel at the speed of light, of near 70% of the speed of light. You go from Earth to Alpha Centauri. It takes you 10 years. 10 years, you are there, you go back. Problem is, if you go to the speed of light, you get a time problem. Can be that if you travel very fast, for you, it is maybe 10 years or 15 years. But for the people on Earth, it can be 50 years or 100 years. But if your friends, your wife, whatever, is still there, you directly, if you leave, you can file for divorce directly and never see your children. Maybe your grandchildren, you will see. They will have the same age as you. What you want to do for avoiding this psychological problem for the crew is take your family with you. So make the ship so big that you can take your family with you, the people you love, people that stay behind, know that they will never see you again. Huh? But maybe your old father wants to come. He's maybe 60 years old. Let him go with you on the trip to Alpha Centauri. He will die on the ship, but yeah, it's better he dies with friends, with his son, than he dies on the planet Earth alone with strangers or with some friends there. So you can imagine you have to have this show. You have to have very important thing, social system on your spaceship. AI will find it out that that is the thing that is so important for humans. So you have to have a small town. So you make a small community, small town, put it in a spaceship, and that's how you explore the galaxies and outside of the solar system. And even I think you will see that some communities will go into space and they become like a town in space, and they travel. They do maybe work. At the one time they work at the Uranus or Neptune or the outer side of the Orion belt. You can imagine that the Orion belt will have like a free port, a big city or a big space station, and people live there. They live maybe their whole life will live there. They will never go to a planet or never live on Earth. They will genetically slowly change, or maybe you can still be human, but the humans will be different genetically or because of the non-gravity. And they will be workers that live in the astral belt, and they mine this stuff, and they will sell it, and they will get stuff back for it. So they will like a town, the town, a mining town. You will see some of course always the experiments. People will always be linked to Earth. There will be people living maybe on the moon, mooners, maybe on Mars, Martians, and you will have astral belters. So like the expanse, something like that. And I think that is where we will come, where we go to. And now with AI, they will help, of course, to make it all possible. Also, genetics will have to have all kinds of stuff. I will think maybe in the gas giants there will be some studies, or maybe we'll find something to pull out there some stuff that is for energy or whatever. We will have, I think we will have a base and a space station around the sun. Huh? And then, of course, we will make there a power system for the car to mine or to get the solar from the sun. You can imagine if you're very close to the sun, your power out for solar panels will be crazy. Now you can beam that power back to Earth or back to space stations or back to spaceships, or traveling to one planet to another planet. So you can maybe power with the sun with a focus beam to, I don't know how, but to ships to power them. So use the sun energy in a different way. AI will find a solution if this is possible. Yeah, I think this is all science fiction, but this will be all created very fast. And why do you think, yeah, this will take thousands of years? You forget AI. AI speeds it up, but if AI makes AI, it will also go faster and faster and faster. So at the end, it will go crazy fast. Developments of new ships, new technology, new possibilities, new genetic mutations, humans change, whatever will go so fast that we don't, living on Earth, don't know how far Mars is, and Mars doesn't know how far the moon is. This will be all separate AIs, and they will all develop differently, and it will be faster than fast. So on Earth, the most important thing is spaceship. If spaceship this year can get the guidance, okay, do the space stations, the space data centers, starts to build infrastructure there, go to the moon, make the moon railgun of the launching for satellites and for materials into space. Now that will be overtaken years later by the asteroid belt. Then you take an whole asteroid and put it near the sun and make from that asteroid solar panels and directly make power and set it back. These things will go very fast, but the thing that will be still slow is this Starship improvement. Starship building out AI. The AI will help the development of Starship and the whole development of the future. So that is very important. That's why everybody's investing crazy into AI. The only way we can, people are getting older. Elon Musk getting older. He wants to see the future in his lifetime, if possible. The only way you can see it in the future in your lifetime is you have an AI that's 1,000 times smarter than any human. This AI can make the future you think of in 100 times faster than is expected. So you can still reach in the future in your lifetime. Yeah. Without AI, we cannot go to Mars in our lifetime. The Starship and most of our technology, even AI, is made by AI. If there was no AI, this development we have experiencing now we would not experience. So this is very important. So that's why Elon Musk knew AI is it, and he will be right. And it will be a space. And he's also right in that. And space will be the new America, but an America that is endless. America is limited. The continent was limited. Maybe in the beginning, I thought it was going on forever, the backland. But this backland is really endless until we are very big. And for us, this is not endless. But that, I think, then the universe already freeze over. That is not what we can experience, even if we are 1,000 or billion years later. So for us, is go into space, build AI. AI becomes better and makes it easier to go to space. So this is a future that is doable. What can hold it back? Now you already see it in New York and Adami and some countries. People are afraid and will think people will, like Elon Musk, will be so rich, they will all the money, they will all the power, they will be the leader of Mars, they will be the king of Mars or the king of the moon, and they will have all the infrastructure in their hand, and we will be slaves. Yeah? They even did a research, what if you want to be workless or a slave, what would you choose? The majority still wants to be a slave and working and doing nothing, because if they do nothing, they become crazy. There have to be a lot of studies, psychological, government studies, whatever, about psychology. What if people don't have to work? Can they still be creative? The schools have to change. People are learning to follow orders, to act like a robot or act as a calculator. Yeah, at work, at the office, you are just a machine. Same. This can now be taken over by AI. If you are in a factory, you're just following orders. You have to put this bolt on this machine. That's everything you do. Or you have to do this and this. There is no self-thinking, because that's management. Management controls. So at the end, there are only managers, and all the other jobs are robots or AI. And if these managers are just be controlled above, and they can also be automated. So all the jobs, all the stuff will be gone, except for the people that are creative and think new things to make. And I think schools have to be in this way of thinking. They need to educate children not to make things, but to find things to be made. So you are not following orders. You are the guy who gives the orders. You don't work in a factory and make a car. You come up with the idea that people needs the car, and you find you program, or you find people that help you to make the factory to make cars. This is what people have to be studying. So people have to be educated and be psychological programmed that they are making things that are not there. They are inventors, they are initiators, etc. Robots and AI will do the work. There will be always people that cannot do that. They want to work, they want to do something. So AI and the community will create jobs where you can do that. You will get money or whatever, same money, or you get a praise or whatever. You work together with robots. You can imagine people like to farm in the weekend, farm with a robot, or go to a farm and help out there, take care of animals. Normally it's done by robots, but now you can help animals for yourself to relax, and you have maybe the other job to mine remotely asteroids or something, and then in the weekend you go to a farm where robots are working, and you just help them with the cows or something, to get more in touch with nature. I think this is very important for humans, to still be in contact with nature, with what you see here, with green, with a forest, and with animals, like my dog here. Huh? A robot dog will never be the same as this dog, my cat. No, a robot cat is something totally different than a real cat. So, SpaceX, the most important thing is Starship. I also said in other videos, we have to look at it. How far is Starship now? We don't know all the details. They don't tell the details because China, Russia, whatever, they are listening. They are doing in the open, the Starships, they are now making it more in whole, that you cannot see it and less see it, because they are getting closer and closer to the end product. But I think that is also why they are doing it, because they are afraid that people will steal the ID. But even if they are 5 years behind, it can still be a threat for national security. Because if you use it as a weapon, Starship, wow, ah, put that full with explosive and let it crash on some country, the country is gone. Worse than an IBM, IBC or a nuclear bomb. It's a very dangerous thing if it comes in hands of somebody else, or for North Korea, or a country that has bad plans, or a dictator or whatever. Maybe like a crazy guy can build a starship. You don't want to do that. So there needs to be some security and protection for that. That's why the stars will seal everything off, and will be some more protectivity around that. That's good, but I hope that. So what I see, and what you look at the starship that was plunged into the sea, it all looks good. I think the shield will hold. I will think it not will hold. It will not hold the second flight. I think still they need to remove the tiles and place them. But I think they are making a system that they can do it very quickly. Because if they can now put the tiles up in a week, probably they have a way to remove the tiles in a week, and the next week they can put it up new ones, so that you only lose 2 weeks. If you have 10 ships, then you can still launch every day. Yeah, takes you, yeah, we have maybe something like that. So you take some time to you have 10 ships, so other ships are launching and using while you're renovating the old ship. That takes you maybe 10 days. If you have enough ships to launch for 20 days, you can easily renovate all the ships before they launch. I think still they need to, maybe it's just safe to remove the shields, and maybe with a test version only try to launch as much as possible if it is really that is good. But I think for security, and especially if it's human grade, do it with a new shield. The problem is, if you have a new shield, you can also have new problems. And maybe it's even dangerous than a new shield. But that's what we saw with Falcon. But I think for the first beginning, this is the safe thing. Make enough ships, and that's why you're making so many ships. Test. Look out if you can really reuse the shields like 5 or 6 times. That will be already good. And every 5 times you do a renewal, test flight with some satellites. If that's good, then you can use it for human grade. If there's no problem with the second flight, third flight, you can use it for humans. Then the shield is tested with 2 flights. You know it will hold, as the quality is good, and then you can use it as human grade. Something like that. I think we will see maybe faster. It will go faster as everybody thinks. I think people will be amazed. This is not correct. This is crazy. Because of AI, because he's building the factories and not the spaceships. Jeff Bezos is building the Glen. His focus is the Glen. I built a Glen and not a Glen. Elon Musk thinks I build a factory that builds spaceships, and I'm focusing on that, not on the spaceship itself. So now, what the CFO said, we have the capacity to build 1,000 spaceships, or enough spaceships to launch 1,000 times a year. Jeff Bezos, if they would say we want to launch 1,000 times a year, he's thinking, I have to make 1,000 spaceships. I can never do that in a year. That's not possible. But if you focusing on a fabric, and you can make 10,000 cars or 5,000 cars a day with a factory, it's bigger, but still possible. It's only one a day or something, or 2 a day. And you have multiple factories, then it's even, you have to do half of it. And if you have 3 times more, you 1/3. So I think this idea from Elon Musk is he builds factories, or his talent is to produce, to create fast. It's also, he doesn't need to design because of AI. So he knew already AI will do all the other work. The bottleneck will be the fabrication. And that is what he sees specialist in. And that gives him the lead. That will give him the edge. With SpaceX, and also with Tesla, with the cars, it are the factories. And he will build maybe modular factories. And these factories he will need on the moon and in space. And he already know how to do it. If you just focus on a product like a car, prototype of a car, prototype of a robot, a prototype of a spaceship, you know how to build a spaceship. But then you still need how to produce those spaceships. So you have to now look at the fabric, and maybe it's not possible to make it mass product. It's still like Ferrari, it is a Rolls Royce. You make that by hand, and that means you cannot make 1,000 of those things a year. Maybe only a 200. And Elon Musk is pushing out thousands of them because he was not focusing on the car, but when he was building the car, the SpaceX, he was looking, can I make it in a factory a mass? So everything, every step he makes, he builds a spaceship, is already thinking, okay, I will make not one of it, I will make 1,000 of them in a fabrication process. So everything of the design, everything of the testing, everything is aligned for mass production. Rockets now are not built for mass production. They are like a one of a kind. All of those rockets are one of a kind. He is making them one of many, and it's just a mass production. It's just a product, and that is what SpaceX is different. And that is what analysts have to realize. He is producing rockets same as you making paper clips. He just pushed them out, input in, process, output out. And the more factories he said, the faster the automatic street runs, the faster they can put them out. They will be all of the same quality. They will all usable, bam, 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 fast. They are thinking still, oh, this has to be made with hand, and it can only be 10 in a year. It will go slow. Before it knows that he has already built 100 of those spaceships, and they are thinking, where do they come from? How is this possible? Because he built the fabrics. And that is the advantage of SpaceX, and that makes this space company totally different from many things. So they have the knowledge before with the satellites. They make them at mass. They make thousands of satellites. So if you have a Hubble or a specific, even smaller constellation of 20 or 30 of them, they're all unique. They all tweaked that they work. This is a little bit different because we found it. So they're all unique satellites and they work together. Elon Musk makes them as mass production. Bam, 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 bam. If it is 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000, doesn't matter. He just let the fabric run a lot longer, and he has 1,000 of them. This is not doable with any other satellite, and he will do it with spaceships the same way. This is the difference between SpaceX and other company. Even I think a Boeing will still as handwork. I see people jumping on if they are building a jumbo jet, they are jumping on the rings to push the things together. If you do mass production, you cannot do that. It has to be click perfect. If it doesn't click perfect, you have to change the process how you make this attachment, and not have a human jump on the thing so that it fits. Bad design, bad fabrication method will not work for mass production. And he has a way that it works. He tested it with Tesla, tested it with other things. He proved it with Starlink. He will prove it with space. He proved it maybe a little bit with Falcon 9, and he proved it especially with rocket engines, and he will prove it also with Starship. And we will see it, and we will see it fast because he has help from a very intelligent thing that's called AI. And I think in the next 2-3 years, we will see an explosion with SpaceX. I can advise, but this is not advice. Look at if you think the same thing as me, and this is a company that is unique and it can build the future, and it will be the biggest company in the world. I talked before with Japan about money for your pension. Maybe this is an idea to invest in. It's not for everybody. It can go wrong in many fields. An accident, he can go away. Some government accident, something happens. I don't know. Alien invasion, you don't know, or I don't know what can happen. But it is a thing. And I said, if you invest, always invest with money that is you can lose every day. That is not important. That doesn't threat your lifestyle. It doesn't threat your savings. Invest only money you can miss or you don't need. Really, you don't need the money. Normally you will buy an ice cream of it or a car you will not use. Invest it in this stock. If you can live without this money, this result in a good profit, maybe this money you can use for something to help other people with or for yourself to stop earlier with work and work on your health or something and make your life better. That is what I think you need to see investment in better. These investments and what you can do with more money. You can help other people, but be careful with that. Or you can put it into yourself, have a better life, go to the gym, and work on your body and work on your life, that your life in a healthier health when you get older, and make your life easier. Get a good bed. A lot of people just live on a mattress. Invest in a good mattress so you sleep every day very well. So every morning you are okay, you feel nice. That's a better investment than you are drinking in a bar until 2 o'clock at night. With some people use that money to buy a nice bed. You will have for the next 10, 15 years much more pleasure of that than one beer or 1 year of going to a bar. Invest in your life, invest in your health. That is for me always important. And also in your psychological health. So study, keep on learning, stay in contact with nature, go out, take the car or whatever, go somewhere out and enjoy it. Some people are walking with a telephone. If they're walking, they are continuously looking at SMS, or they are every time looking at an Tesla, YouTube, or whatever it comes out. They have to see it. They heard the story 1,000 times. It is the same, but they still have to see it, and they're walking like a zombie over the street like this. Stop that. If you walk, take time to breathe. If you have a dog, don't take your phone with you. Just enjoy that time, that hour of half an hour you are walking with the dog. Enjoy who you are in the universe, who you are on the planet Earth, and that you're still alive, and that you live in this moment in time to experience all what is happening with space, AI, and whatever. It will be hard. It will be really a roller coaster. We don't know what the UBI can we work. Is the work still in 10 years? But just remember, a few years ago there was no phone. A few years ago there were no computers. A few years ago there was no internet. When I was young, my neighbor still her 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 heating was with coals. They still had the guy coming with a bag of coals, and she had in the shed in the back a place to store the coals and put it in our house, and with the smoke pipe, and that's how she heated up. And there was a milkman with a horse, and that horse and a cart in my street walking. You think this is the Netherlands, and this is when I was very young. I can still remember it, and it was the last guy who had this milk with the horse. The horse died. The neighbor of me with this, that was the last thing. She was a little bit old, so that's why she had this old stove still with coals. But there was still a service that made the chimney service still in our neighborhood. We had a cable on the back of the house for community radio. There was no radio. There's a line. Everybody was connected to a line, and you tap off, and you get the local news. Black and white televisions, telephone with a dial on the network. Mobile phones didn't exist. Internet didn't exist. Computers didn't exist. The fastest computer was 1 megahertz, or even less than that. The biggest hard disk you can get was a few kilobytes. Floppies. The people don't know what it is. This is 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Around 50 years ago. 50 years ago, in 1965, 1967, the world was so primitive, man. Huh? That's the time when we just go to space, to the moon, the first time. And where we are now, maybe it's not even 100 years later. It is only, 1960 to now, 60 years later. This is crazy. Yeah. And next 60 years will not be the same experience that you have now in the 60 years. It will be 3 times faster. Maybe in 2 years or 3-4 years, we have AI. AI will kick off all things with medicine, with DNA research, physics, whatever. Yeah. direct communication with the computer, with your brains, whatever. You don't need an implant. You can. It makes a machine that can directly, when you put a pot in your house, and it can read everybody's mind or whatever. Yeah, these things that we think now are impossible will be possible. When I was young and at school, the lower school, yeah, and we were playing in the sandbox, and we didn't have a computer, we didn't even have a PlayStation or whatever. If I see now the games there are, this is not possible. This is a movie. This is not possible. The music we have, listen to old rock and jazz, whatever. Now what we have now is the music, the good movie. It is so out, the craziest thing that I could imagine in old times. For the daily life we have now with the phone, I could not imagine. Yeah, of course, I thought we go to space like the Man of Mars, whatever, Flash Gordon, like that was there. And then you think, oh, I thought we were further than the moon. Okay, and then we will move further in space, but primitive. I would never think about holographic screens. I would never think of what we have now, that you can protect screens on. You have these visions, what the meta's making, that you can see screens in front of you that are not there, like projection right in your eyes, with a helmet. But maybe later you don't need a helmet, so you see things that are not there. So you can imagine you have a spaceship or a room that is empty, but if you have these glasses on you, you see something else. You see everything there. So now they find the UFOs, but they are empty, but maybe they are not empty because we cannot see them. My battery is almost up. So maybe the last thing, we cannot imagine the next 30, 40 years. This is impossible. We still can imagine maybe the next 5 years, but even now with AI, and even if AI is online and it is AGI, after that you cannot imagine what the future will bring. Not for the next year. Maybe a few weeks, maybe a few months, but years in ahead with AI, you don't know what to do. It's so much smarter. Here's where I want to end. I want to charge my battery, and if the typhoon hits this place, I will go live. See you later. I hope, if the house is not flying away, but I don't think so. See you. Ending the stream. Bye bye.